This video is part 3 of a series where we examine simple linear regression within Minitab. In this video we're going to use our regression equation for prediction. That is, for any value within the range of our data for the x variable, we'll be able to predict the value for the y variable. Now we'll use the same variables as in the previous videos, distance 2 and commute 2 from the early fall 09 class survey. And again, remember that commute 2 is given in the data set in minutes, distance 2 is given in miles. Now, here again is our usual regression output. You remember that our regression equation is commute 2 equals 13.4 plus 0.892 times distance 2. Now, let's think for a second about the range of values for distance 2, our x variable in this model. If we look at the scatter plot for these data, we'll see that distance 2 ranges from half a mile up to 40 miles. Now that means we can use our regression equation to predict commute time for any distance between a half a mile and 40 miles. So let's pick a value for distance. Let's say 25 miles. We want to use our regression equation to predict the commute time for somebody who lives 25 miles from college. So now remember, commute time is 13.442 plus 0.892 times distance traveled. Now you'll notice a couple things about the way this equation is written. I've included a couple more decimal places for our regression coefficients. That way I'm not rounding off the regression coefficients in the middle of the calculation. And also you'll notice the hat symbol over commute time. That's the way that we normally write this kind of regression equation, to emphasize that the commute time here is really the predicted commute time. It's the predicted commute time for somebody with a certain distance traveled. Now, if we want to plug in 25 miles for the distance traveled, well then we're simply going to plug in the value of 25 at this spot in the equation. So we're going to take 25 times 0.892, and then we're going to add that to the y-intercept term, 13.442. And if you run that through your calculator, that's going to give us a predicted commute time for someone who lives 25 miles from college. Their predicted commute time is 35.7 minutes. Now, so this is theoretically what's going on when we use the regression equation to predict a value for the y variable. But let's go back into Minitab to see how we can make Minitab do this calculation. I'm going to go back up to the Stat menu. We'll go to Regression, select Regression, just as we did when we calculated the regression model the first time. So remember, we've got commute 2 as our response variable, distance 2 is our x or predictor variable. Now, if I want to be able to plug in distance 2 equals 25 and see what our predicted commute time is, I'm going to go to Options, and in the field for prediction intervals for new observations, I'm going to type in 25. So 25 is going to be our value for the x variable, and we're going to let Minitab calculate the predicted value for the y variable. That is the predicted commute time for someone who lives 25 miles from the college. Click OK. Click OK again. And in our session window, we'll get our usual regression output. So this all looks the same. But if we scroll down to the bottom, we now get a new section added on, predicted values for new observations. Well, remember we asked Minitab to predict the value for the y variable if the x variable, distance 2, were 25. So Minitab gives us that predicted value here under the fit column of 35.7, just what we got when we calculated this by hand. Now we're not going to worry for now about the other calculations here. We'll address these in a later video.